is recorded so that you don't have to worry about leaving anything. Like when I build and if I'm going too fast, just let me know, because sometimes I tend to do this. Yeah. So my ads manager, right now, it's a little bit different than it was probably last time you saw it, because I'm in the second stage of what I was talking about before. So when you first saw it, and I can send you screenshots because of that call, is that you'll notice that all of a sudden, all of these ones have turned off. When I've shown you before, and I've done videos on it, so if you want to return back to, you can, I had all of these going at once, including my evergreen campaign to get page likes. Now, the people you talk to, some people will say it's a waste of money. Some people will say it is a waste of time. But for me, being a small page, I'm already at 2,000 likes. For me being consulting, it does not matter about organic engagement on my page. No one gives a shit, because if you go on a consulting page, you know you're going to get sold to eventually. So you know going into that you'll probably be less likely to engage. Where your hand, it's probably not going to work as well. So I would recommend probably not doing page likes, but we can get that another way. So what you would do is you would find out, okay, so it's very easy for you as well. And if the audio is bad, because I think my mic is playing up. If it's not as good, let me know. You can see here that I've got USA top 4, UK 22 to 40 copy, which is just a copy of one of these two. And then I've also got NZ, but you can see here, they're 3 different types. Now I've found out, because I've trialed all of these, and I spent whatever I spent. If I go lifetime, this will be a better understanding. So I spent $152.90, right? Which is actually really not a lot considering what I got from it. You can see here, don't pay attention to these, because these are very because they haven't got 50 conversions. It won't be the actual amount. It was just a tester of what I was doing. So what I did is I went through and said, okay, well, we know this is going to be fine. I was only paying 3 cents a page like. What you can see here is that the best thing you need to figure out to get the understanding of a consumer is find out, first of all, what the click-through rate is, and also what the frequency of that person seeing your ad is. So all of this won't make sense, so don't worry too much about it. But you can see here that all I've done is, instead of putting $20 on one ad, what I've done is I've spent the same amount, if not just a little bit more. Take away this, I've spent probably 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, just actually under $20 on the spot. So what I did, instead of spending $20 on one ad, I divided it over all of these ad campaigns. Now, that doesn't make sense to a lot of people, because they're like, why would you only spend $2 a day? Now, the reason I spend $2 a day is because I know these facts. If I put $20 on this ad and it's already spent $8, right? It spent $8.87 and got 0. And look how small this is, where you spent $9 lifetime, and look at this. And look at, that's okay. I would still spend that.
Yeah.
Right? Because at the moment, I'm getting an email address, right? But when I build my funnel, and which I have now, that email address is now going to be, actually, that's how much my product is going to be priced at. Because if I can sell my cheat sheet that I just put on my story, I know that if I sell it for like $10, the most expensive I'm ever going to have to spell it is $10. But I'll do that US, so I'd make $10 profit. So like I was talking about before, if you know the cost of a download or an email address, you now don't have an ads budget. Because then you price your product at how much it's costing you on Facebook. And you'll notice this when you go onto people's pages. The price will always change. There'll be decreases, there'll be discounts. It's because their cost per lead is so cheap. Like you can see here, at a 475, the more people, of course this is going to be more expensive because it's a lower amount of people. But here, as it grows and it's the highest amount of downloads, it's only cost me $3.93. For a quality email address, that's not bad.
Yeah.
You'd pay anywhere between $1 to $3 per email, because you've got to remember, it's going to be a different story for you, because this is completely different business compared to what your business would be. But there's no reason why you couldn't get anywhere between 70 cents to $2. Because remember, you're going to have to remember that you can make profit left, right, and center doing this. So this is what I call the audience building phase, right? So we see here that these are 2.26%. So click-through rate, meaning that this person is, out of all the people that have landed on the thing, this has actually got the second highest click-through rate. So if I was to pick anything, I would actually not pick this. I would pick those two, because it's got a 3.21% and a 2.26, meaning it's better. And it's been watched more as well.
Makes sense.
And you can see down here that it would actually, it'll make you cry, because look how much it's costing me to do all this. And I've turned them off. Like this one, $18. I spent $18 and I only got one download.
Yeah.
So you can see how flop that is, but I'd rather spend $18 than $800 because people do that. People just think, oh, I'll throw more money at it, it'll work.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the case. It has one of the, it has a two, I would be okay with that because it's still got a 2% conversion. That would tell me that there's something wrong with that landing page. So what I would do is I'd go in and change that ads copy to go to a different landing page and see if they would drop down. And this is the power of Facebook, is that you can actually send, if I had my ClickFunnels, right, or any MailChimp as well, you would technically make 10 different landing pages for 10 different audiences and see how they would resonate. So I'd go through and say, if I needed to, which I don't really, I would go through here and say, well, this is pretty good stats. It's had a download. It's been seen nearly the second highest, third highest time. Yes, okay, it's more expensive, but also the click-through rate is really, really high. So 2%, anything below 2%, I would cull, but that's very on the fringe. So you can see here, 0.82%, it's been $8, 0.3%, it's been $9, $8 for 1%, $8 for 3-4%, which is, I would cull all of those, which I have. This is the only one that I'd probably question and maybe put in if I wanted to increase my ad budget. But here, because I'm doing my page likes campaign, I've got to factor that into my ads campaign. And at the moment, I'm saying, cool, I'm happy with these downloads. And you can see when I go to today, no, it won't do yesterday because I just started running them again. You can see here that people were kind of, like, you can see the least amount, I've spent $18, but in reality, if I go lifetime, I've spent under $20 on all of these campaigns. So I've done cheaper than what I would have done back in the day, or people do back in the day when they chuck $20 on one ad. And you've probably fallen into that when you've put $10 on a boost or whatever, right?
Oh yeah, I've chucked stupid amounts of money on to try again.
But for the practicality of it, you can see that when you divide them and do the audiences, all of a sudden it becomes really, really easy, and you kind of get like you're a kid in a candy store because you can get all this data for just under $20.
Yeah.
And I've only spent $150, which is not a lot for like a month's worth of ad campaign.
So when you're doing this sort of stuff, are you doing different ads for each one, or are you just doing a different?
Not at this stage. So what the other thing, the rabbit hole that people do is they create different ad sets for different people. But the problem is you don't know that yet. So what you would do is you would spend the same amount of thing to every single person and see which one resonates with them the most, because effectively that's going to be your best copy. So what I would do is I would go, okay, well, these ones are the best. Let's turn all these off and put more money onto them. And if I was to do it again, what I would do is then I would say, okay, well, how can I get these a little bit better? How can I get this up to a 3? How can I get this up to a 3? What do I have to change? And then that may be a landing page issue. But people think you have to send more different things to more people, but it's actually just finding out which one resonates the most with that message. So like you would send out a photo of a bread, right? Saying like, come into my store, blah, 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 whatever you want to do it, right? So if you go into here and you can see copy 3, like I've copied it 3 times to get it to this point, and I've only spent what, like $15 on it or whatever it is. So you can see here, the ad copies here. So pretty simple. So you can see 6 people have liked it. You go into the ad copy's down here. It's a long form ad copy. Foundation starts here. It goes to my website. You can even double check, which I actually haven't since I redid it, that this goes to a landing page, which is completely fine. Video, perfect form. It's already filled in my email. Go to step 2, done. So you can see very easy, autofills, doesn't even need a name, number, and email because it already does that on the back end. If I showed you on the back end, if I go into my Ultimate Funnel ebook, if I go into the contacts, what do I go into the last all time? So it says unknown name, right? But then you can also go into here and say some of them, Farley, Karen, the ones that are actually really good leads will automatically give you their numbers.
Yeah.
Alex, I've tested it a few times. So you can see here, I always have debates with people. I'm like, okay, well, do you really need their name? And do you really need their name? Like in your case, you don't need to, because realistically you want them to come to the store. So one of the biggest pitfalls people have is that they'll run into an information problem. They'll ask for too much for such a low end magnet.
Yeah.
You don't need to ask for their name. You don't need to know their number. You don't even need to really know their email address. If they want the bread, they're going to put their right email address in. So something like that on ClickFunnels or on MailChimp, would be perfectly fine. And that page there has also got little cues, like that little button was popping. There was a video automatically playing. It was very much a bright and lucrative kind of situation where I want your email address. You can layer things on like social proof and all that kind of stuff, but there's little things that you can always experiment with. And this is why I said there's always a possibility of always doing that next thing and what you're willing to do for, you can see my screen? No?
Yep.
What are you seeing?
The ultimate funnel side of things, and then the
you see my ads manager?
Yeah, ads manager is this one.
Okay, let me just go. There we go. Cool. I didn't see the green line. So yeah, and that's, like I said, I'm literally spending $2 a day. Like, you've got to be realistic and sometimes say, okay, well, even me, I'm like, okay, well, I've really got to spend some more here. Like, I'm spending $2 a day and I'm getting conversions. Like, it's kind of like stealing candy from a baby. Like, people are like, oh, I don't know how to grow my page. I spent $50 to get 1,500 people to like my page.
Yeah.
Like, how much would it cost you to do that in real life? Like, how much, that's a 1,500, you couldn't even, to get 2-page spread in newspaper is 1,500 New Zealand dollars. So, it's the hardest thing to really comprehend with people. And, I've already got a link click and I've only spent $3, right? Like, at the end of the day, there's things going on that we need to factor in. But, it's coming down to the point of view of which, like, okay, well, what are we willing to do? What are we willing to spend? And how are we willing to advertise it? Because this is the one thing people overlook. And the one thing that, my agency effectively takes care of, and that's why it's so effective, is because people are like, I don't even know how to advertise into this position. But I think, the way that you want to advertise something, you've got to think about what you're doing as a lead magnet. I know it's a real thing, and I know it's a real bit of like actual tangible thing, but it's a lead magnet, right? So you just need to get them in there. You need to get them in the door. The way you do that is you tell them things like, for instance, if you go into here and look at the way that I did my, and I'm doing all of this just for an email because I know how lucrative an email is. Like, you say, hey, as a coach and a trainer, that leads and sales are the drive to any business. Like, that's a pretty good hook, right? It's not, I'm not saying free. I'm not saying come download my thing. I'm not telling them everything in the thing, but actually I'm just getting their attention. Like looking at a girl in the club, you're just getting their attention enough to make them realize you're there. Right. Yeah. And then I say, hey, I'm Matt McCarthy, the founder of NPC Consulting. Over the past few years, I've been giving away my best marketing tips and strategies to trainers and coaches to help them grow their business, which is actually true. Like, I've been doing this before I actually turned it into a job. So you may be asking yourself, why would I be here giving this best away for free? Simple, because I love personal training and coaching the world. I love businesses going from 0 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 figures, blah, 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 where trainers, just like you, go from struggling to success, from broke to boom. So you've also got to look at, like, okay, well, I've got a hook. I'm telling them a story, and I'm hooking them in because I'm still there, and I'm telling them a story about, like, they're struggling to be successful. They're going from broke to boom, and using proven marketing strategies that work. Take any one of the 7 secrets, telling them a little bit of what's in the funnel in my ultimate funnel ebook, and put this into test in your business, see what happens, because we took the best of the best tips and strategies, and it's yours absolutely free. All you have to do is download now. So I also told them strategically what that word is. So I said download now, which means click on download.
Yeah.
Foundations start here also. And I've made it so that my website, which is the most important fucking thing you can possibly do, because it puts me off on every single ad I see, is that what will happen here is it'll show you the URL that you, unless you've got a domain registered to the thing you're doing. I don't know what about MailChimp, but it's very, in my eyes, in my business, it has to be like this, because no one's going to trust the consulting company if they can't get that right. With you, it's a little different. But it's also just, making sure we've got pixels and all these things on board as well. Like I said, I've got a video how to do that. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But also making sure you go through things and say, how is this actually looking on instant access? Cool. How's it looking on in-stream video? Right. It's going to show them a video. Like, if I was to go, okay, I want to go see what this looks like. What I'll do is I'll go test it and see what this actually looks like in here. Oh, sweet. Because it actually also shows you up here, right? So it shows you friends and people that have looked like that. It's been 7 times. It's pretty tangible, right? Go down and look at the script. That looks cool, sweet, awesome. That looks sick. But then you also go through and say, what experiences are other people getting? Cool. Well, in this area, what I'll do is I'll probably edit it to make it look a little bit more appealing. Okay. And then you'll go through and say, Facebook Marketplace, because everything is different. You don't know where your buyers are coming from. What does it look like on my Instagram feed? Cool. That looks cool. What about stories? That looks sick, right? Like that looks appealing. So you'd make sure that looks appealing as well, because 9 times out of 10, you'll probably get that in your Instagram stories, right? And a lot of your demographic, I guarantee, will probably be roped into that side of things as well. Because like a lot of people think that because you're seeing an ad on all the platforms, they're spending money, but actually I'm spending $2 a day to do this on all of those platforms, right? So, but you just have to, and also just open your eyes and open your kind of heart to having some experience and having some fun with it. I think a lot of people put so much pressure on advertising and they lose this. They lose the copy. They lose the image. They lose why they wanted to advertise in the first place, because they're trying to get a quick fix right now. But if you're willing to sit there and say, I'm not going to touch these ads until tomorrow because I need to give them a full day just to see how they're doing. Like, okay, cool. Like how long have these actually been running for? Right? Like, okay, they've done half of their budget. This one hasn't. That one's off, right? They've only done half of their budget. I can't tell if that's good or not until tomorrow. I can, and when you start launching an ad, just leave it. Get up, go off, and go walk the dog, right? Yeah. That's the biggest piece of advice I can say. Because when you start going into nitty-gritty things like, okay, I'm going to go into Events Manager. Now, I don't know technically. 2 things you'd have to do. Like you can see here, this has increased. This morning it was only at 30. Now it's at 40. Cool. I've made 10 acquisitions effectively on my pixel, right? So the 10th today, 21 people, 21 events on my thing. So again, I'm a numbers person. If I can see the numbers, I can correlate to actually every single event. If I spend $30 divided by 21, it's not too bad, right? Like it's always about understanding, just like you have a spreadsheet. I'm spending about $1.40 to get a person to come onto my landing page. Yeah. Right? Not bad. Considering I'm only running 3 ads. And I'm only spending like $6 a day. So first thing you want to do is you want to go, it won't do this because I think, So what you want to do is go into here and then you want to go setup, install Pixel. I've got a video on this, so don't worry if you don't forget about it now. You want to install it manually. Okay. Don't know why they did that. You want to go into details. Facebook are probably going to ban me. Facebook have banned my account for like 2 weeks. It's like bastards. No, okay, it's not going to. Because what happens with agencies is that they think you're doing, like you get a really good result like I've been getting, and they think you're giving out too much and you're getting too much of like a, fucking hell, like my whole entire computer's just bugging out. So like they'll say, oh, you're giving away this, you're trying to market to the thing, and they'll just block you for a while just to make sure, especially because my ad account is very new. It would make sense for them to do it. I'll probably get blocked like 2 or 3 times in my lifetime, so it's all good. It's just annoying. It's just annoying when I get up to the spends of what I was getting up to, and I was spending like $200-300 a week and getting really, really good returns. But the problem was that I had no. Jesus. Stop. Okay. There we go. Jesus Christ. Phone call. So what you want to do is you want to go into whatever MailChimp is, and I'll see if my internet's going to allow me to do this. Oh. I don't actually think I can read my login. There will be a place to be able to do it. Maybe if I go on here, my Safari. I switched everything over from Google Safari to Google, so my passwords are still. The most important thing you can do as of like today is just make sure that everything you have is Go Pixel, because I'll show you what I mean going forward. Is that if I go,
You can have multiple pixels.
So you got one pixel for your whole entire business. So like, imagine your heart. You've got one heart, but you can have many different personalities, right?
Yeah.
So if you want to go create landing page, just want to make sure that you can actually do it before I tell you. I think I have a funny feeling that you may have to pay for it as soon as you put a pixel in. But I could probably actually bridge the gap for you if you really want to while you get that stuff on board.
Yeah, I'm in the process of getting a website built at the moment. So obviously, it is possible to have a pixel on MailChimp and on a website?
Yeah, you can have you've got to imagine your this is going to sound bad, but you can imagine if you have like, you know, those people that have like 20 kids, right? Like thousands of kids. That's pixels. Pixels are everywhere, right? You can have as many kids as you possibly want to have. You can have as many pixels as you possibly want to have. Because what I'll show you is, and this will blow your mind, and this is how I make most of my clients anyway, is that I'll go down here and it'll show me actually how many pixels, or sorry, they've got one pixel here, but they've got 3, 6, 7 different things on here. Can you see this?
Oh, yeah.
It says pixel helper. Yeah, so this is their pixel, which I can actually copy. I can copy their idea and put it in somewhere else. But it'll tell me all of their information about their whole entire thing. So it gives me a good information set that I can do. So they've got 7 different things on their one page. So now I'll go back onto Facebook and I'll get bloody MailChimp things as well. But let me just, can I search pixel? Actually, I'm interested. How to... I haven't used MailChimp for a while, so I'll just double check.
So this fully debunks the whole myth of everyone has, oh, your phone listens to you.
Oh, it does. It definitely does, because there's settings in Facebook that you can actually choose to do that. But no, the thing is, people lie, right? Like, unfortunately, the more I go into it, is data source. I realize that pretty much everyone lies, so they're actually just lying. They're saying that they haven't done it, but actually they have probably typed it in.
Yeah.
Which I keep telling people, because that's realistically the only business settings. Where is business settings? I'm having a feeling you may actually have to okay. I think you may have to pay for it. Unless you can find business settings, but I don't actually know if... I'm doing it on my other browser, that's why you can't see anything.
Yeah, I was like, I think it's frozen.
Account. Integrations. Yeah, it may be stopping me because I have 5,500 emails and I'm only supposed to have 2,000 on that account, so it's probably stopping me from doing it, to be fair. But yeah, the idea is that you can get away with it, but I'll send you a I'm going to send you a link. I'll put it on Trello for you, and then that way you can actually just double check. But yeah, I mean, logistically, the website is going to be the best place because you can just put it on one and then that's fine. But I'll put the video of Facebook Pixel and how to do it as well. on there as well, because it's in the membership portal, but I'll link it to you.
Yeah.
You can just watch that.
The website will have sign up to our email.
Yeah. So the hardest thing I tell people that use websites is that you also need to track that as a funnel. So if you're going to spend money on marketing, you need them to make sure that they're going to a page in which they can't click off. So I find this really, really hard to explain to people, but if you went into a supermarket hungry, it's the same thing that people do. They come into a site that has heaps of tabs. They're going to flick on all the tabs because it's there.
Yeah.
Where if you look at any of my landing pages, go onto my Instagram and look at the landing page, there's no tabs. It's just, here's my book, here's the payment method, go and pay.
Yeah.
So it's very much like, this is what I want from you, get it done, move on. So I would suggest whoever's doing the website, talk to them about it and create variations of the same pages, because I know you can do that on a website, and just use those as technically landing pages, but have no tabs to how to get back. So when they land on it, they can't get off it without going through. Because even if they click off it, we've tracked them because of the pixel.
Yeah.
So just making sure that is. So that's cool. The second thing about advertising is then saying, okay, well, once we've got that situated, let me just go back to Ads Manager. If I go back to Ads, why is it? Here we go. So, like going through and saying, okay, well, you've got to let your campaign run for at least 7 days without making a decision. You cannot touch it. Even if it looks like these things and it looks really scary and you're paying a lot of money and all these things, like you've got to sit there and say, well, this is lifetime. It was from January 17th to March 10th, effectively. But I didn't actually run any ads for that month. I started running them like midway through here. So it was about 3 weeks. So, I left them really to about 7 to 10 days. The longer you can leave an ad, the better it's going to be, but not stupid, right? Like don't leave it if it's costing you a lot. So it's about just getting those metrics and realizing that, I'm only paying $2 or $3 on these to get 3 or 4 emails. It's pretty good going. But again, people would stop it because they've seen this. But again, that's relative until you get 50. Nothing makes sense. Nothing makes sense until you got 50. So until you get 50 people to give your email address, you can't really make a definitive decision on if that ad copy is good. But you can, early days after 7, because you can simply just go into here and go frequency and click-through rate. And this is how much we want to look. If it's below 2%, cull it. If it's above, keep it.
Yeah.
Cool. So you'll see here that I've got 3, that's climbed up, I'm pretty sure, just in the call, right? That's climbed up to, I think I've got a download maybe, I don't know, but that's climbed up since we've been on the talk.
Yeah, because that was at like 2.9 or something.
Yeah, so you can see in the space of just today, well, it's not going to show me today because it won't show me until tomorrow, that it's climbed up since we've been on the call. So, I'm happy. These are above, this needs to climb up, right? But again, I'm always going to have a fat horse in the horse race. 2.3%. Likelihood of me coming back tomorrow, I guarantee you, I'm probably going to have a conversion here. And I'm probably going to have a few conversions tomorrow morning. I guarantee it. This one's probably going to be but again, it's only spent a little amount compared to the rest. But again, it's only spent nearly under 50%. All of them have spent under 50% of their ad spend. So, and it's already at 2.1%. So I know this is going to come back tomorrow and I'm going to get opt-ins because it's already at 2%.
Yeah.
So, and again, those are the only 2 things you really have to care about early days. Then it's about your ad budget, like how much are you willing to spend, divide it by how many audiences you want to create. And that's the next thing we want to go. We've got 25, so we've got plenty of time. So what you want to do before, I've kind of gone the worst way around it, but while you're running the ads, you want to create audiences. And this is where it becomes very, very kind of like, I don't want to do all this kind of stuff. And you can see all these and it doesn't really make sense and it's kind of overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
So what this is I've made it super simple because I'm an idiot when it comes to my own work. What I'll do is I'll get confused, like I'll get flustered because there's heaps of them and I have to go back and backtrack. So the best way is to make capitals. 2 things I recommend: everything in capitals, everything to actually walk you through the whole process. So I know that this is a page view. So these are everyone that has landed on my page but has not opted into my page. Because you'll see here that it says, or maybe a trick because it's been under 1,000, right? So what happens is it includes everyone that has lasted pages. I would even change it to 100. So this is the landing page. So this is the first page, right? And then I've refined it to everyone that hasn't gone to here. So everyone that has gone to here, it excludes. So everyone that's opted in. Everyone that hasn't, I'll retarget, because what I don't want to do is retarget people that have already opted into my book. Because what I want to do eventually, once it gets over 1,000, is use this audience, because this is just a squeeze page, right? And I want to take, I would highlight that. I can do that later. Just cancel it. So what I'll do is I'd make sure I go into here and I'd make sure that this is the thank you page, right? And this is the one that I've downloaded. So everyone that's landed on the thank you page is now on this audience.
Yeah.
So like I talked about in some of my videos, you've got two camps: the people that are willing to buy but they haven't, the people that have bought and they're ready to buy more. So the people that have downloaded and ready to go, it's going to tell me, but again, I have to wait for 1,000 people to do it because it's not going to tell me. So that's, you drive traffic onto your page in order to see it. And it's just creating audiences. So when I do retargeting campaigns, so when I launch my 10K blueprint, my other ebook, and then a few audios that I've done, I'll only market to these people because I've already know they download my stuff.
Yeah.
So my ad spend will be super cheap. So the way you do that is you go create audience, custom audience. You want to go to your website. So it's going to be your website when you build it. You don't want to go all website visitors. You want to go who specifically visited a website page. Then what you'll do is you'll go over to, let's say if I wanted to make an audience for, if it's going to load. So let's say I wanted to do my, my new funnel, my 10K blueprint, right? I wanted to get the URL. Now you only need, and this is where it gets super confusing, you only need this because the numbers technically could change. So those numbers are variables that are not in my control. So I don't want to have that. So you can control that because as soon as it sees that, it'll count. You want to go back to Ads Manager, contains. You do not want to put this to equals. You just want to say it contains. And then I want to say 10K blueprint ebook page view. Page. Cool, simple way. All right, I want to go 100 to give me some more variables, audiences. So that's the page view. And then I want to make the ones that have downloaded, the ones that are on my separate page. But because I haven't built that funnel yet, I won't make that yet. Because if I go back to my funnel, I haven't made the next lead magnet. So what I would do is I would exclude, hypothetically, I would just do this, copy and paste, or I haven't made the URL yet for that yet, but I'll change it. I would go into here, create another one, websites, all visitors, a specific page, and I'd go here. So I'd say this is opted in, right? I'd be like bought book, or like I would call this the 10K ebook, right? So that because I know that if they've got to this page, the only way they could have is bought my book. So I know everyone in this one is the ones that have bought. So that is super critical when you're spending a lot of money on when you eventually you will. But it's important to have that from day dot because any traffic is good traffic. Because what you can do, and what I'd suggest doing even now, is go custom audience Facebook page. So then I would link them any of the the pages like Guilt Free, the one that I've done, my MPC body transformations, my consulting, the old workplace that I used to do, right? So like you'd go down to your Ben's Buns and you'd just make a page because this audience, you can go into insights. If I was to go into the insights of this, like for instance, she would go if I went over the last 28 days, she's got over 6,500 people, but people have viewed her page 215 times.
Yeah.
So there, 30 days, you're 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, you're 5 months away from getting 1,000 people in an audience for free. Because she's not marketing, she's not spending a single dollar on marketing at the moment.
So really, when you're doing that, going back a little bit, when you're doing the different advertisements, you're picking one group that's engaging, is buying stuff, is opting into stuff, and you want to target them on a certain product or certain advertisement, and then the ones that are
so
sort
this
of
is where this is where market research comes in. So you would go and say, okay, well, what are my ideal buyers? So the Pick and Save thing, right? The New World, the people that have already bought things before, they're easy targets. But you would individually make those specific ad campaigns. Because you're in New Zealand and the location is going to be the same, the variable that's going to be changed is the, how I go into here, share, go into here, Facebook ads. If I go into my account, oh, wrong one. If I go into consulting, when it's going to load, go into Ads Manager. So what I mean is that when you look into here, I've said small business, self-employed, personal coach. So like I said before, you've got to make it really specific because it's if I spend 20 minutes over a space of a day going into each ad campaign and seeing which one I meant, it's too much time.
Yeah.
So what you do is go Ultimate Funnel ebook, download, personal coach, New Zealand, age 22 to 44. I know all of these ones are cold anyway because I know it's the first stage. But what I would do when I make new ones was I would make, when I do my 10K book or whatever, I would go and say, make it like a warm. So I'd go 10K ebook warm, NZ personal coach, NZ 24 to 22. So what I would do is I would put in here where it says personal coach, because if you go into here, because you're doing New Zealand and because you'll be doing local areas, because that's fine, you would go into here and go down to, where is it? It would be here. So you would create the audience and you would go Australia or New Zealand, you'd go age bracket, you'd go people who match personal coach. So you would go Pick and Save. You'd go New World. That's 2 audiences already. That's 2 separate ads. You would go Countdown. You would go Bread. You would go whatever your demographic would be most likely to, and also making sure that this is not too big for your ad spend. Because obviously I'm only spending, and I need to increase it, and I'll probably increase it tomorrow. I'm only spending $6. So if I let's say, I'm not going to change it, but if I said I went to $10, this would go up. But also, how do I refine this? So in the broader spaces things, the higher in you get closer into the perfect ideal client, the smaller this number is going to be. Yeah.
So it's worth spending more at the start.
Yeah. So ideally, I would get my clients, and this is why I kind of take control and my team takes control, is that as you see here, it gives you an example, how much you're having to spend to get. So if I wanted to get 86 leads every single day, I need to spend $98. It tells me estimated leads because I've got data now. It's only going to get more refined. It's about having data at the first stage. So this is where I say to people, and this is where I get really conflicting conversations with my clients, is about you having to spend 70 to 80% of your entire ads budget on just these ad campaigns, on the early ones. Yeah. Because this is where you can refine these so that when you retarget them, you know exactly how much you need to spend, exactly who you're talking to, and exactly how you're going to talk to them.
So for me, I was doing some budgeting actually the other day. Yeah. My plan is 150 a month advertising.
Let me do the numbers. It's about $37 a week, right? So then you would divide $37 a week over 7 days. So it's about $5 a day. It's about going and saying, okay, cool. So I believe any budget is better than nothing, and you can see what you can do with $2, let alone $6 a day.
Yeah.
So what I would say is I'd go, okay, well, $37, how much are we willing to spend out of the $5 a day? We could make 5 ad campaigns. Sorry, not $37 a day, $37 a week. So like, let's say on average, you'd only really be logistically, you'd probably get 2.5, 2 ad sets, I would say.
Yeah.
To try to get some information. But you can definitely do that. I would just suggest saying, okay, well, how much am I, if that's the budget, there's no point trying to argue with that. It's about what we can do with the budget and then increase it. You've just got to factor in 2 things. You're not going to see a lot of traction at the start. It's just going to be a longer game. You're having to willing to do that. The second is that you can get away with a lot for $2, but it's about making sure that everything's spot on. So when you're advertising with such a low budget, and that's completely fine because you see I do it, you just got to make sure that the copy is good, the photo is good, and that you're not trying to expect realistically in your head too much for too little. Like,
well, there is wiggle room with that, and what I was thinking with how you were explaining before was, if my plan is $150 a month, would it be worth changing that to go sort of $300 a month for the first few, and then cut it right down to sort of 75 once I've got everything defined and
so logistically, this is where the planning comes. Like, a lot of people like, why do so many people fail? And this is where, like, literally one of my landing pages, I'm pretty sure, like, about it's about time you learned it's about time for you to learn how to make $10,000 a month in 90 days or less. Most people fail with internet marketing because they do not take consistent action. So literally, just what you said to me is my marketing campaign for this ebook. Because what I did was I took the objections that I have with people with business and Facebook, and I said, cool, I'm going to make a lead page out of that. So what you've got to realize is that whatever you do, you have to consistently do it. So you have to own it. It can't just be like willy-nilly change things every single day. You have to be consistent and take consistent action. So when I say that, I would be willing to spend more money in the short term for less money in the long term.
Yeah.
Because effectively, like I said, you can see what you can do with $20 a day. You can see that with me. But what you would do is say, well, obviously looking at what I've done, don't take as many risks because the ad budget is not there. So what you would say is, like, how many ad campaigns can I get out? How many actual audiences are actually relative in my industry? Pack and Save, New World, all this kind of stuff. And they're going to be larger populations. So what you're then going to do is say, well, if I can get away with spending 70% of my ad budget now and then spending 20% later when I've already got all the audiences, not only is your email list going to grow, which you can still organically market to every day, you're going to get more traction on your business, which could subconsciously or automatically convert on other ends. And 3, you're more likely going to get a result faster, which in your mind, logically, is going to give you more longevity long-term.
Yeah.
So the biggest things that I run into with clients is, first of all, they give up because it's so hard, right? Which it's not. It's just, it's taking consistent action often. Second of all, they get overwhelmed with money coming out, right? They see the money go down the drain and all these things, but they don't make the dots and connect the dots. So I would suggest sitting down with everyone that needs to be at the table and making out a plan. Get a big sheet of paper and say, this is what I want the first kind of 6 to 12 weeks to look like. This is how much money I want to put towards it. This is the 70%. Then what's the 20%? Because the worst thing you can do is do the 70%, but then not have the 20% done.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anything for those people to move on to, which then is going to cost you money in the long run. So that's why I didn't start advertising this 10K blueprint and this other ebook until I already had a lead magnet started off. And I also had 2 or 3 other things that I can plop into my upsell, downsell funnels, because that way I can make my ad spend back. So I didn't launch any of that, even though I had them. I didn't launch any of it until I had all of them in the line. And I was willing to sit until March, being the 3rd month of the year, for that to happen, when I realistically could have done this in January.
Yeah.
But I didn't, because it didn't make sense. And I've learned from what I've done previously and before I made my agency, is that I didn't want to release anything and then have all these people go to nothing.
Yeah.
Because we have an attention span of 3 seconds.
Yeah.
So logistically, they should actually get your download from your ebook, see your next ad, 2 or 3 days, opt into that, buy it, and then go off their merry way and do more things. But also, when you're talking about ad budget, you've got to realize that it takes 6 to 9 times for a person to convert, even on a free product. So you've also got to factor that into your ad spend. Like I said, it's going to take at least a week because of that 6 to 9 times to get even one conversion.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be that slow, but that's one of the biggest variables that people don't factor into it. Because they're sitting and looking at their screen every day, do something once, walk away, don't touch it till tomorrow. Let Facebook do the magic. Because the reason why I run a Facebook likes thing, the reason why I'm able to sit there, is it's only going to advertise to people that would like my page.
Yeah.
So even if these people never message me, there's still people that are going to like my content eventually. And it's good vanity metrics for my agency anyway. So
yeah.
I don't need to go over $30 a day. I've never needed to, and I probably will only go over that when I start actually getting a return on my ad spend through my products now that I have them.
Yeah.
So that is super important. Do not just spend money for the sake of spending it in terms of like, oh, if I push it up, there has to be a result from the end. Otherwise it'll be a negative campaign, especially on free products.
Yeah, I'd have to see. So if I was spending 30 a day, I'd have to see a result of $80 a day.
That's perfect. Cool.
So
that's meaning, and why I was so emphasized every single call about having stats and tracking them. And now it kind of makes sense to you now, if it hadn't before, is that your employees and yourself need to be making sure that you need to know how many extra people are coming in every day.
Yeah.
And just kind of guesstimate it that they're coming in from the Facebook ads. Because if it's consistent, it'll be that. Because then you divide that by 7, and then that is how much it's costing effectively for that ad campaign, the product, and then the $80 a day.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you hit the $80, you up the ad spend. Yeah. And that's the most important part of all the conversation. It's about having those ducks in a row before you move on. So many people are so willing to go into the next stage without having the infrastructure and also the fulfillment to be able to do it. That, like I said, I'm literally willing to be paying these high amounts of money, having products sitting there because I didn't have a logical funnel in my head set up. So I couldn't launch it. Even if I could have got halfway there. I could have got some return on my ad spend, but I didn't have the logical standpoint. So I had to sit there and kind of just wait until those products are ready to launch. But now I have the whole thing. Now I just have to build it.
Yeah, I think one of the things I'm really going to have to look seriously into is to upgrading our till to the ancient style one that it is to one of the nice new ones that gives me all the analytics of everything. Because then I'll be able to see day by day, even hour by hour, when we're getting people in, what they're spending it on, who's coming in, how many extras it is per day, how many extras it is per, are we getting more in over the lunchtime rush? Are we getting more in over the morning? And then I'll know exactly, cool, that's where I need to focus on, or that's where we don't need to worry too much.
Yeah.
So I think probably, I know it wasn't the intention, but the most I've got out of it today is, I need to seriously look into that. Because that's going to be the number one thing that will help me see the results best.
And like I said, like you would literally cry how much this software like ClickFunnels at this level cost me.
Yeah.
When I did it, I'm all good about it because I can make sense of a lot of things that people can't. But a lot of people, when I was saying it, didn't make sense of it. But for instance, all of it makes sense now, and I never have to touch these products ever again.
Yeah.
So you've got to think about it long term. Yes, the till is ClickFunnels in your eyes, right? The till is the background of the products because realistically you should, and I would advise against it, going straight into advertising you can do the free stuff, but long term doing anything else, you can't track anything at the moment. So even if those people are coming in, how are we supposed to track it to get them to understand that we know that these people are actually buying the bread because of our ad? We can do it now numerically and we can do it old school, but the more data we have, the more information we have, the better we're going to sit there and say, actually, this is how much it's costing us. And if you can get to the point where it's only costing you $1, $2 to get them in the store, it's worth the till.
Yeah.
It's a massive expenditure. I'm guessing it is. But
Yeah,
long term.
1,000. Oh, I don't even know what an iPad is these days. You don't even need a new one, but anywhere between $1,000 to $1,500 for that, and then the systems that go with it, which is about $40 or $50 a month.
Bro, like my ClickFunnels is like $1,000 a month.
Yeah. It's funny though, because it's been one of those things that from day dot, I was like, all right, I need to upgrade this to something decent that's going to give me the analytics, but I've never had an actual reason behind just curiosity.
The other question is like, well, making sure that you're not just getting a website for the sake of getting a website. You're actually getting a website as a design for, like, don't just have it like I was with the PT just to please other people. If you need it, so like in terms of the website, if you don't want to design it to like get an action out of someone, ClickFunnels is probably a better site than actually having a website. The other reason I say that is logistically long term, you could very much learn how to do ClickFunnels, probably not a website. Long term, I'm talking about. So when you're trying to sell products, when you're trying to sell other things, it's designed to get shit done. So like just making sure that you've also got all these other expenditures that come up with having a business and all that kind of stuff. You're not just doing it because that's what everyone else is doing and a website looks cool. It's actually a design mechanism. So it's going to make you more money in the long run.
Oh, no, my sister's doing the website for me. So the main reason behind it is, one, the emails, but that's come across second. But the very main reason was so that there's somewhere that people can go, and the older generation that don't have Facebook and can't message me or anything can jump on that and put their orders through for different products, so they can genuinely order stuff online. And then I can get back to them however way they've put down.
Yeah. So the other thing that I just thought of is that if we do go the bread route, what I would do is predominantly they would need to come in with some sort of code, and then that's the way we track it at the moment.
That was the other thing I was going to ask you. Is there a way I can give individual codes to people?
There will be a way. There definitely will be a way. But otherwise, if there isn't, short term, before you get the software, because I guarantee the software will have that, you will be able to, let's say they have to bring in a screenshot of something, and there should be like a code. If the code is the same, it doesn't matter. It's just about the people that are coming in and you tick the people off. But obviously with the system, it'll be a little bit different. But I guarantee it'll be a plugin, most likely. It'll be a plugin that will, they'll get a text message. So the reason why I'm saying about a website versus a thing as well is that making sure the website has things like text message built in. So what would happen is that when they get their details put in, if they put their number, they'll get a text sent to them, right? And then that text can naturally be actually what the code is. So that can be auto-generated. Yeah. But then they bring the code in on their phone. I know the older generation don't have phones and all this stuff. They'll get it followed up with an email. But we've actually got their email, but they're actually going to bring in their phone, which is more likely than actually email, because who has data as well? Yeah. That's another thing that we need to factor in. So there's heaps of different things. But again, I would suggest, like, launch dating wise, I would also say, like, it's completely up to you, but there is no hesitation. There is no issue about delaying it. But I would say, have a play with Ad Manager, have a look around it, start building audiences, start asking more questions, use the next 2 or 3 weeks to get your head around it. And then when we launch it, hopefully by then you'll have the till and stuff anyway. If not, no worries. We can always use another mechanism. But I would also, now your goal is to go out and actually have a play with it. Make some ad copy, take some photos, put the photos in Ads Manager. Next call, you can go through and actually make an ad campaign while you're on the phone with me. So get your laptop, go through Ads Manager, whatever you need to do. And then that way I can critique it effectively, next call. And then that's how you can kind of get a grading system. Like, okay, you're at a C now. How do you get yourself to an A? And that's how I can coach you as well.
Cool. I was going to ask you if that was possible, whether I could have it on my screen and you'd be able to see it.
For sure. Yeah. I can make you host and you can do exactly what I just did then. And you can go through the whole entire thing without launching it. And I can show you little tips and tricks.
Yeah, perfect.
Cool, man. Cool. And then even said when we start launching, like your little products or even bigger ones, I can just come down even maybe once a month. We can have like a back end kind of meeting. And then we can actually launch things that are going to be in a month's time, and then we can work together. So it's not just this overwhelming feeling, because trust me, it's a different feeling that you've never had before when you have all these ads going and you have kind of this feeling of not controlling it, but you do control it. But my goal is to make sure you don't go off that ledge, but go off the other one.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
But yeah, no, that's cool, man. That's cool. I'm excited. But yeah, like I said, over the next week, even between now and Thursday, have a play. Any questions, just ask. Otherwise, anything to finish off?
No. Got a lot to think about now. So
perfect, man. Yeah, that's cool. And I'll upload this to YouTube. It'll be on the link that I've got you in Trello. If it's not there, let me know. Otherwise, yeah, I think it's a very exciting time. I think it's an opportunity for you to just have a play around and have some fun.
Yeah.
No, cool, definitely. Man. Talk to you next time. Talk to you Thursday.
Sweet as.